Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Less Stress, More Peace and Happiness Summit. We are so happy that you're joining us because we're learning so many great skills and techniques and strategies for reducing stress. And this is so needed in today's times, is it not? My name's Janine Wooten. I'm the host of the summit, and we've got such a great lineup of people, and I'm super excited today to introduce you to Maria Kellis. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and then we'll bring her on screen. Maria Kellis is an entrepreneur, academic, author, consultant, and teacher who collaborates with leaders in the corporate world. Her mission is to bring the essence of energy flow to the business world while working to achieve profits and purpose. Born and raised in Greece, she earned 3 degrees from the renowned Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and MIT Sloan School of Management in the United States. Currently, she's completing her doctorate degree at the Mahidol University in Thailand. During her time at MIT Sloan School of Management, she was involved in teaching entrepreneurial classes and organizing a $50,000 competition for students. And one of her own companies even claimed the runner-up position. She's co-founded multiple technology companies and has worked at high levels within the Greek government. Now she shifted her focus to teaching and helping others heal through her global organization, MK Empower Inspired Leadership, which serves clients in over 15 countries. Her rich and extensive experience in business spans corporations, governments, and academia. She is dedicated to discovering and implementing ways to create purpose-driven business and teach others leadership principles while continuing to achieve personal success. Throughout her life, Maria has cultivated a strong sense of values and character of leadership. She's faced and overcome numerous challenges, including accidents, diseases, physical, mental, and emotional pain, being wheelchair-bound with no expectation of recovery, and even a near-death experience. She currently splits her time between Greece, Bali, Thailand, Cyprus, and the United States, enjoying a life of absolute freedom, abundance, and independence. Her ultimate goal is to teach others how they can achieve the same level of success by simply being themselves. The only question left to ask is, how can we do it even faster for you? So please welcome with me, Maria Kellis.
Hello,
Hi,
hello.
Maria. How are
It's
you?
wonderful to be here.
We're
Thank you
so
for
happy
having
that,
me.
oh my goodness, we're so happy. You've got such an extensive resume, so impressive. So we're really honored that you're sharing your time with us.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. And I do want to say that my qualification for being here is really the fact that I've done such incredible, stressful things in my life. And I used to do, and by default, I'm the A type overachiever. So stress used to be my buddy. I used to say I work on
Right.
adrenaline. That's my drug. Like who needs
Oh,
coffee? I have adrenaline. And
goodness.
I do believe that there is a better way. And that's the way that I'm here to talk to you about today.
I love that. And I would have to say, I can relate to that. And I agree with you on that. So I'm anxious to hear what you have to say. I'm going to give you the floor. I'm going to take the
Thank you.
background. We are going to put your title up. And really, really excited to hear what you have to say, especially given what you just shared, because I can totally relate to that. And I know a lot of other people can as well, especially these days. So would you mind, if you don't mind, can you just start a little bit? We love to start with the personal story. I always think that people really
Absolutely.
relate to that. So how did you end up doing what you're doing?
So I feel that we are always guided to what our purpose in life ends up being, even when we think we're being sent the wrong way or when we have the reset button pressed. I believe that we're here to do something important in life. I believe that we come here with a purpose, and that purpose is really what we're here to manifest. And the truth is that purpose wants us to manifest it as much as we want to manifest that purpose. The crazy thing is, for humans, it is that we block ourselves. We are the
Mm.
ones who slow things down. We are the ones who don't actually manifest our purpose because we're busy doing other things. And one of the in in life, one of the things that we tend to function on as a society is stress. It's almost like we put this
Mm.
collective awareness that the more stressed we are, then the harder we're working, and that means
Mm.
that we must be doing better. So more stress equals I'm more focused, I'm doing things well. And I think it comes from the simple belief that work should not be fun. Work should be painful and
Mm.
difficult, and that's how we earn money.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
I am here to kind of suggest a different approach. So I believe that work can be fun.
Mm.
I work a lot. I do. I love my job. Some people complain that it's hard to get me out of my work mode because,
Mhm.
well, I love what I'm doing. Why would I do anything else? It's like I'm on permanent vacation. And because of that, I don't feel like I'm working, even if I'm working really long hours. And the trick is that I have discovered what it is that I want to do, what it is that is
Mm.
fulfilling and loving for myself before anyone else. And
Mhm.
this is kind of the holy grail. At least it used to be for me before I got here. And this is what I want people to know, that not only it's possible and achievable, but in fact it is a better way to life.
Mm.
I call this sometimes being in the flow. So when we are in the flow, we have the ability to listen to what is happening, to be aware, be mindful, be in the present, and at the same time, we pay attention and we notice the incredible opportunities that come our way. And
Wow.
isn't it amazing when we meet the right people at the right time, doing the right things that we just needed? We're like, oh,
Absolutely.
I was just thinking of that. I am so glad I met you. Don't you find
Absolutely.
that? Yeah. And this can be called coincidence or it can be called the flow. And I always talk about four levels of responsibility for us. The first one is things happen to me. I'm the victim. Life
Mm.
happens. I'm just kind of stuck in it and I have to do it. Then the
Mm.
second level is still in the victim consciousness because things still happen to me. But
Mhm.
that time, at least I'm the lucky victim. So things happen for me. I'm the lucky one. And now there's a fundamental shift that happens when we stop thinking about me, just ourselves, and we start thinking of the collective because it's not just about us. And so when we go into the next level, it's the level of the observer. Things happen, no judgment, nothing.
Mm.
It just happens. No matter what, it's like it happened. It's like the Zen philosophy, right? The Zen
Mhm.
master. I don't
Mhm.
know if it's good or bad. It just is.
Right, right.
And
That's
and
beautiful.
then there's one level after that, which I believe this is where I live my life, and this is where I teach people to live their lives, which is the level of the creator. This is a
Uh,
level things happen through me. I am
mm.
100% responsible for everything 100% of the time. There's no accidents, there's no punishment, there's no thing to feel guilty about or shameful or whatever. This is just life. I created, and no matter what, it's my responsibility, good or bad. And
I
by
love
the
that.
way, we can create the good because it all starts with a choice. And
Mm.
this is the key to starting, that everything starts with an intention, everything starts with a
Mhm.
choice, everything starts because you're able to do it now. You're asking me to share a little bit of my story, so let me go there now. um, when in 2004, I was diagnosed with a very debilitating form of multiple sclerosis, which
Mm.
left me in a wheelchair. And it looked like it was the progressive form because I wasn't getting better. I wasn't responding to any drugs. And I I remember the day the insurance had approved the motorized wheelchair. So the vendor came to my house to demonstrate. And And when that happened, I saw myself there, and I saw myself, I was in my 20s at the time, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I made the decision that day that this was not going to be my life. I had just zero idea how I was going to do it,
Wow.
but I knew that this was not going to be my life. I knew that I wanted something different for the rest of my life. And it all starts with a decision. It sounds really dramatic, but what else? What other the choice to have? Like stay in a wheelchair? I didn't want that.
Right, right.
So that is when I clearly, for the first time, made a conscious decision that I was going to be in charge of my life. And I'm
Mm,
super grateful to the doctor at the long term care facility that I was in. Because
mhm,
after the intense pain in the hospital, they, for people who stay in the hospital for longer term, they send them to longer term care
mhm,
facility. And she told me, look, Maria, you think that you lost something, but you haven't. you
mm,
you can just choose. And she told me that, I don't know if it's true or not, but she said we use 3 or 5% of our brain, or 7%, I don't remember the number. But then she's
right.
like, what about the rest? And I was like, oh, okay, so right now a lot of things are broken, but I have a lot of it left in reserve. Let's use that. So
That's wonderful.
I invented a game. I had a lot of pain. And I'm not here to talk about a lot of pain, so I won't bore you with that. But I do want to say that pain is not exactly helpful to a happy, and
Mhm.
leading to a happy, good life, right? So I'm sitting there in a lot of pain, and I was like, what do I do? And then I realized, you know what? I'm in a wheelchair, but I have a lot of pain. So that's something. That's what I have. I started feeling grateful for what I have. And
Mm,
I decided that pain meant something. So
hmm,
I started mapping. I said, well, pain is nothing. It's my choice to think of it as bad or good. So I'm just going to choose it as information. And I'm going to start mapping pain. So I started mapping pain. Well, that pain is hot. That pain is cold. That
mm.
pain is me wearing clothes. That pain is movement. That pain is moving right. That pain is moving left. That pain is hitting something as I'm trying to move. But the
Oh,
point is that pain started being differentiated. In fact,
mm,
at the time, I actually wonder why. Maybe that's why babies cry so much, because they don't have.
mm,
Maybe everything is painful when we're born, because we come from this super cute area of like the womb of our mom, and then we get born, and then suddenly everything's painful.
exactly.
So I said, let's remap. And so I started remapping everything, and that's how, like, literally, I said, I don't know how, but I'm gonna figure it out. And that's to
Mm,
this day, when I'm super, super tired, I may
mhm.
pain instead of other sensations. But most of the time, I just get other sensations because I've trained my mind to say, well, this level of pain is this thing. So
Mm.
nothing has dramatically changed except my quality of life, right?
Right, and
And
your mindset around it and choosing different thoughts and
absolutely.
remapping or reframing, that's very powerful.
Yeah, and it all starts with a choice. Now, the
Mm,
second thing that I do want to say in the progression of moving from this, I teach a class called From Stress to Freedom. So I'm kind of going to give you the overview. Um, and again, I'm giving the overview based on my life story. And the second part is letting go.
mm.
So in the past, or before 2004, I used to have what they call a photographic memory, which
Oh,
is everybody thinks is the coolest thing in the world.
right?
I thought of it as torture because I
Really?
actually could not forget anything. I couldn't, even if I wanted to. And
Oh,
that means that I couldn't, it was kind of like that kind of memory that everything that happened I knew and I couldn't
mm,
forget. And that meant that I was carrying all this heavy weight
I
with
see.
me. And this is like the important thing, the gift. I let go. Part of it was because of the disease. My
Mm.
brain was inflamed. So a lot of those things were gone on their own. Thank you very much. And I literally have worked to restart establish everything in my life except for my memory. I didn't want it. I was like, you know what? You can keep the crazy memory for you. I am okay forgetting things. Ignorance is bliss.
That's really
But
interesting. Yeah,
um, that comes from a perspective of a person who's been there, right? I can forget
exactly.
anything. So and it's funny because I can forget anything, I can make any mistakes. I can,
Mm,
if I made mistakes, I torture myself. What I could have
right.
done differently. So go through this process. Well, in that step, in that choice, I could have gone there. So now I'm gonna
Hmm.
go. What if I went that way, right? The what if. And so I was
Right.
always living, looking at the back mirror.
Ah.
So this is the second important step. Just let go. Accept what
Mhm.
happened.
Mhm.
You know what? Good or bad, it already happened, didn't it? There's nothing you
Right.
can do. It already happened. Pretending it didn't happen, not gonna change. Lying about it, definitely not gonna
Right.
help, right? Regretting, oh, that's a useless emotion, definitely, right?
Yeah,
What else can you do? Like
definitely.
you can be angry about it. Okay, that makes you an angry person. How good is that? The Buddha says being angry is like drinking poison, expecting other people to be hurt. It doesn't work.
Exactly. Exactly.
So what are your choices? Or
Mm,
you can just say, hey, it happened. I accept it, good or bad.
mhm,
Let's see what happens. And that's where the next level, remember when we go from things happen to me, things happen for me? Well,
mhm,
you can
mhm.
start by playing a simple game. That game is that happened for me. I have zero idea why it was good, but I'm really sure, I'm convinced it is good. Right? So you play a little bit of the Pollyanna game.
Right,
Okay, it
right.
happened, but it was really good because, right? And then because of that, our mind is a terrible master, but a really good servant.
Uh-huh.
And the uh, Robin oh god, I forgot his name, but anyway, I read it in a book, but
Mhm.
long time ago. But I love that sentence because it was like, huh,
Exactly.
our mind is not here to lead us, it's here to serve us, it's here to create where we're going. So our mind is
Mm,
here to help us go in the direction. So our mind says this is bad and this is good. Well, with our mind, because we're in control of our mind, we can say, well, this is good, period. and
mhm,
and then
mhm.
instead of giving the task to the mind, can you judge if it's good or bad, we can just say, hey, I decide it's good, and your task mine is to find why it's good, right?
Exactly.
So why is it good that I'm in the wheelchair? Well, it's good because I lost the crazy memory I used to have that kept me on torture.
Yeah,
my
right.
my my
Tormenting.
fiance left me. My fiance left me when I was in the hospital. Why is it good? Well, because he wasn't meant to be my
Wasn't the right
the
one.
right person for
Mhm,
my life. So,
mhm,
he kind of showed me who he was in a time where it
mhm.
was like impossible to fake. So then, okay,
Exactly.
I know who that is. What else happened? So I end up like on welfare, qualifying for food stamps. Why is it good? Well, because I'm experiencing absolute poverty and know that I can recover. Know that
Wow.
as bad as it goes, I can still be okay.
Wow.
And
I just got
why?
chills.
What else happened that is horrible? Like I'm in the hospital for a long time. Great. That means that I am in a place where I am healing and not just from the disease, I'm healing from things that I'm carrying. So I can go on, but the point is that we can choose our point
Mhm,
of view, our
mhm.
perspective. And the
Yeah.
more we choose our perspective, we get to the point of where I'm talking about the observer. And this
Mhm.
is later. So I learned meditation when I was in the hospital, because from the hospital they gave me like a cassette. I don't know if you remember
Uh-huh.
cassette tapes,
Yeah,
those little
yeah.
boxes.
Back in the day.
I know. For the younger audience, don't worry, it's a thing from ancient culture.
That's funny.
And they they gave me cassette tape, and in the cassette tape, we were supposed to imagine pain as fire, and that water was coming in to put down the fire.
Uh,
And you know what? It worked. So it was like, oh, what is that meditation thing? I never even had heard the word. Like
wow.
I'm an MIT. I was, fresh out of MIT. It's like, like meditation is not part of what we do there. And
Right, right.
and so I kind of like, so I said, okay, I'll learn about meditation, and it allowed me to open up to
Mm,
a world I didn't even know was possible.
mhm,
Endless
mm.
possibilities. There's a great book that I highly recommend by Joe Dispenza called "You Are the Placebo," and
Uh-huh.
in that book, Joe Dispenza kind of says that, yeah, okay, we can call it the placebo effect, but you are the placebo.
Right,
So,
right. I love
meaning
that
that
book too.
you
I
can
love
choose your life.
Dr. Joe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so if you're the placebo, play with that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, placebo effect is real, and you're the placebo. That means you have absolute control over your healing and your life, and not just for health. It can extend to your relationships, it can extend to your work, it can extend to your, well, health, it can extend to adventure, it can extend to all areas of your life. So
Mm.
whatever you want is, oh, I attract abusive men. Okay, well, great. How can you
Yeah,
do this
well,
differently?
right, why exactly.
Okay, so if I were to do it differently, I will attract loving and kind men. Okay, great. And
Yeah.
and I say this, for myself, but whatever, right? And what will the loving and kind men be like? How will they treat me, right? And
Mhm.
and that is my choice. And if somebody comes who doesn't fit that profile, well, guess what? No, you're not the guy I'm
Right.
looking for, but thank you. You're very cute. But the the idea is that we're not judging others. We're not putting them
Right.
responsible for making us happy. We are
I love
responsible for
that.
ourselves. We're responsible for our own happiness. And if
Exactly.
we are responsible for our own happiness, what is it that we're choosing?
Mhm. I think just that right
So
there,
many
that
people spend.
the mind just that
Go
right
ahead.
there, the mindset just the mindset shift right there.
Yeah,
That's kind of encompasses everything you're talking about, and people need to understand the power of it. I think your example has been amazing and beautiful. Like, you can overcome the situations that you've overcome just by a conscious choice and learning meditation. And those I'm just I'm fascinated. This is so interesting and so encouraging. It's really encouraging for people because I think people feel stuck,
absolutely.
you
I
know.
Yeah, because we feel stuck because we forget that we're the creator, and we think that we're the victims. Oh, well, the economy crashed, and COVID happened, and the
Mm,
war is happening, and gas prices are rising, and the electric is rising, and everything is rising in price, and like, it's not my fault, it's the economy. Well, who created the economy? And oh, by the way, who said that you have to be in the worst parts of the economy? Why not choose a
right,
different
right,
place
right,
for yourself? I'm,
right.
I'm gonna say a
I
story.
love
So
that.
being in the flow means that we, like, literally are protected. Things happen in life. Yeah, okay.
Mm,
So I'm gonna burst your bubble. This life is balanced. That means equal bad, equal good, which is good news because it's balanced, and bad news because, well, bad exists,
gotta
right?
be some bad.
So
Yeah.
that means the things that we don't like are still there, right? This duality is real.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
but we can choose where we're hanging out. So, for example, I was driving down the highway, and for some weird reason, I am looking at the sign, and I promise you, I read my exit. So I switched to the right lane. And then as I got to the next sign, it said different exit. And I said, huh, that's weird.
Mhm.
So I just, like, put my blinker on and turn around to go back into the center. Well, guess what? There was an accident behind me in the
Ah,
mirror. The car behind me and
oh,
the car in front of me were having an accident. I wasn't there.
wow.
I just wasn't there. The accident happened, but it just wasn't there. So, what
Wow.
will it take to have this level of protection? We
Right.
all can. My He's a professor at MIT, so he literally was there during the Boston bombing. And
Mm,
I don't know if you remember, it was during the marathon, and so he was there with his wife and three babies, right?
mm,
And his wife works super close to Copley Square, so she got a call a few minutes before from her office, and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go check. You're okay with the kids?" My brother's like, "Yeah, sure, I'm fine." You know, and then they're sitting there cheering, right? And a couple minutes before the actual bombing, he got a call. He got a call. And because he had the three children, he couldn't leave them with his wife. He took the three children. They went one block on the other side in order for him to get the call. And guess what? A minute later, he's hearing all this noise or this boo-ha. He's like, what's happening?
Wow.
The bombing had just happened. He wasn't there.
Wow.
This is not just one time. This is not just me in the highway or my brother in the Boston Marathon bombing. This is every time. Life happens. Yeah, life happens. But who says you have to join? We join our vibration. Every problem disappears. Like things, some people believe that what I do is a little bit miraculous and magical. And they're like, how do you do that's the Maria magic? And I'm like, no, not at all. This is a vibration game. As you raise your vibration, you literally are no longer a part of the vibration of disease, the vibration of hate, the vibration of stealing, the vibration of anything bad. You can choose, because whatever we are is outside. In the Tao Te Ching, there's one great saying. The message is that whatever we do inside manifests outside. So as we change, look, the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And that's truly important to realize. We see the world. If we change the way we see it, the world literally changes. Will that person wear a yellow shirt? Yeah, they would. And start with that belief. And it doesn't matter if you decide that that shirt that they're wearing is yellow instead of like white. It is yellow because you see it as yellow, and that's it, period. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about that. You're not here to try to convince people who want to be miserable to be happy. You're here to worry about yourself.
Right.
And
this is exactly. Sorry. No, I was just going to say what you just said. This is exactly why I'm hosting this summit and bringing all this great information to people, so that people have the knowledge and can hopefully use the knowledge to raise their vibration and see the world differently and feel that hope and encouragement. Because I just feel like a lot of people do for quite some time now, whether connected to the pandemic or not. I just feel like a lot of people are really struggling and hurting. And so, all the speakers we've had have been great. I especially love what you're saying, because it's just so real and so down to earth and so relatable. And I know that a lot of people are going to be helped by it.
I am glad, and that's why I'm here. And thank you for putting together this summit.
Oh, I just love it. So you've given us two great examples there about living in protection and being at a vibrational level where you're choosing what you participate in. Am I restating that in a good way?
Absolutely. Our vibration determines our external reality. So if you want to be in a vibration of abundance, I work with businesses. So usually in business, people do business for money, right? And they're like, well, how do I get more money? How do I have a better order or whatever, right?
I think everyone would say yes to that.
I know. What's wrong with more money, right? And it's really funny. My business keeps getting better. It doesn't matter if the economy is worse or not. It really doesn't matter. And that's the important thing. The economy will do whatever the economy wants to do. If you look at people who are exceptional, extraordinary, I call this being extraordinary. Look at extraordinary people. They are not affected by what happens. They choose the reality. So Warren Buffett, for example, made most of his money in down times. So when everybody else was crashing and burning, he was like coming out as a king, right? And that, what makes him different than you? You can tell me a lot of things, but my answer is he's not. He's just a human doing something differently. So he's choosing differently. He's making different choices. That's what makes it different.
A different perspective and
your choices determine.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So your choices is what determines your destiny. Your choices is what determine your future. I always say we go from a field of idea to the field of eventuality, to the field of probability, to the field of possibility, to the field of reality. And all those are choices. So if we keep faith in every choice, oh, that's just my idea, but I believe it's going to be good faith, right? And then, oh, there's probable, but who knows, right? Eventually, maybe, we'll see. And then eventually it becomes true. And then you're like, wow, that's really become very probable. That's and then at one point it's real. And it's like, great, now it's in the field of reality. But all that time you brought your idea here. And that's what I want you to remember, that this didn't happen by accident. You created that. You created that reality. And if that reality, sucks, well, guess what? You did it too. And don't blame your mother, don't blame your father, don't blame your husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. Like, really, it's not the neighbor, it's not the teacher, it's you. And sometimes it's confronting. I've had people who get mad at me if I say this, especially for young children, because they're like, well, how come my child be sick? Right? And I'm like, that's the choice. Well, can we find something good about it? Right? And some people are like, no, my child is now the victim. It's always going to be good. I remember there was this mother, like her child had gotten, how do you call it when you faint? Like epilepsy. And she was so upset at me when I said that. She like, the poor innocent thing did nothing to deserve it. I'm like, no, I truly believe that we came here for an experience. And so if our experience involves having epilepsy at like 6-year-old, great. That's a great gift. Why? Let's find out the why as opposed to being upset about it.
Right.
Because everything we do, even if it's bad, it seems bad. It is there. It's not like we can argue with reality. It already happened, right? What we can do is choose to look at reality differently. Because if you look at the greatest people in history, the greatest people in history have had debilitating diseases. One of my greatest philosophers, Pascal, the units of Pascal, but Blaise Pascal. I grew up in France, and so I always loved Pascal. Right, he was one of my heroes growing up, and the man could barely stand up for 2 hours a day. He did some of the most groundbreaking work in Europe in science and math and philosophy, and he could barely stand out from his bed 2 hours a day, period. And he died very young. If you look at Kennedy, great, phenomenal figure, changed the, I'm a fan of his, but, whatever, he was an important person in history. And he was stuck in a brace. Like, he literally had so many problems. Churchill, same. Roosevelt, he was in a wheelchair. He had been sick since he was a child. He was paralyzed most of his life, and he helped the world change. If you look at everybody that we admire and we think are amazing, well, guess what? They all have something going on. Nobody comes here for there's no such thing as like the perfect life. No such thing.
Exactly.
Sometimes I work with billionaires, not just millionaires, but billionaires. And you know what? They have the exact same problems we normal people have, right? It doesn't change. The amount of money you have doesn't change. The amount of vacation you have doesn't change. The amount of relationships like you think you want is already there, and it's not going to change you. You change, and the things you have change. It's not the other way around. It's not get and be. It's you are, and then you get.
Right. I love that. Will you step through the progression? You mentioned I'm going to go back and listen and make notes, but will you say again?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first step is setting the intention. The second step is clearing, so letting go of the things that you don't want. The third step is being in gratitude. So what I said, whatever happens, we're grateful, no matter what. Oh, okay, I just broke my hand. Great. This is so much fun. No, but it is. What is the benefit of every bad thing? So find the thing. So find gratitude. And the more gratitude we find, the better. For people in pain, I used gratitude as a painkiller when I was in the hospital. So not the first time, 2004, but I had two very big hospital stays. The second one was in 2012 when I had a near-death experience.
Wow.
And at that time, like I had again broken my back a few times. Like I landed on my face, which means,
Oh,
everything was broken here. And then the pain was incredible. Well, guess what? By that time, I was a little bit better. So I knew gratitude. So I will always start with a gratitude game because, well, first I was stuck in a bed, hospital bed, couldn't do anything else. And I could
wow.
count. And so I will always start with my eyebrows. My eyebrows never hurt. So I was like, I'm so grateful my eyebrows don't hurt. And the other thing you can be guaranteed of is clean
Wow.
sheets in the hospital. So I was like, I'm so grateful my sheets are clean. And my mother was supporting me. So I was like, I'm so grateful
Oh,
for my mother. That was my one, two,
yeah.
three, right? But I will go up. Sometimes in the beginning when you're in pain, the last thing you want to do is be grateful. But I was still sticking with it. I was like, what is number 4? There's beautiful sunshine. I'm grateful for sunshine. I'm grateful that I can see the sunshine. I'm grateful that my eyes work, right? So there you go, 3 more, right? And then I will get all the way to around 150. Well, painkillers
Wow.
were not working for me. This game worked. So
Wow.
now, because I didn't have time to think of anything else, I was sitting there. I'm like, what am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? Think of ideas, right? And
That's so
seriously,
beautiful.
when people get obsessed with things and worry, I'm like, well, can you just create gratitude lists instead? I mean, one of my clients, I recently gave her a homework of doing 1,000 things she's grateful for in the day. You know what? She's an overachiever,
Wow.
so she did 3,000. But you
Wow.
know what? Guess what? She
That's
stopped
great.
being stressed. She had
Yeah,
no time to do anything else. I mean, if you have 3,000
exactly.
things you're grateful for in a day, you really have no time to be stressed.
Exactly.
So she wasn't.
So it's like teaching
So
yourself to look at things a different way.
yes, because we are responsible for ourselves, 100% responsibility. We choose.
Yeah.
This didn't happen to us. We chose that. Why would we choose that? You know what? I have been working on
Yeah.
this for decades, so I can tell you it doesn't make sense to the mind. I've had amazing, amazing out of body experiences. I even had a near death experience, so I can tell you from that perspective, everything makes sense. From this human perspective, not at all. So just accept the
Interesting.
fact that it's not going to make sense
Interesting.
and deal with it. Deal with
I
it.
love
You're
it.
like, okay, it doesn't make sense, but I'm gonna
Just
assume
trust.
that it's good. Why? Because
So
I can. Because
that's
that's
an
my job.
element. That's an element of trust then.
Yeah,
We're just
which
trusting
is
that everything's
actually the
working
4th
out
step,
exactly. Ah, okay, okay.
because that's how you receive. And
Ah,
the interesting thing about trust. So think about love. So I always say that love is like a little bubble wrap. We can bubble wrap ourselves in love, and then things become easier. Well, if you are projecting from inside outwards, that's gratitude. Grateful from me to you because of something that you did, right? So that's projecting gratitude, projecting love. While trust is literally receiving love. So it's from
Mm,
out in, right? So we are projecting out our intention. That's the point of gratitude, because along with our feelings of love and gratitude goes our intention, because that's how
ah,
the energy works. And it comes back through trust. And trust is a very peculiar animal. It only works when it's real.
yeah.
So, which is, well, for a person like me, that's not good news because I was the world's biggest doubter. So I learned to trust because of examples. I joke that the reason I am led by so many miracles. The reasons I can do miracles for people, literally, is because every time I see something that seems impossible and extraordinary, I'm like, oh, there is a God. I mean, at this point, I don't that much,
Right.
but there was a time where 5 times a day was not enough. I'm like, extraordinary miracle. Wow, okay, I wonder if there must be something interesting. Let's see the next one. Will it happen again?
Right.
And now, like I joke and I say it's not a question of if. I am so sure it will, but it's a question of when, how fast, right?
Right.
But
Oh my gosh,
in that
that's
point
beautiful.
where there's sitting there and waiting,
Mhm.
your desire, your decision to stop, your decision to start where you are is really what is going to lead the rest of your choices. And
Wow.
just choose that the rest is going to be great because you can. We have
Mm.
control over four things in life. And I always say this to people: what we say, what we do, what we think, and I believe also what we feel. That's it. Everything else is not in our control. We have influence and, we can inspire others, but that's it. So
Mhm.
we have control over what we think. Yeah, we do. We really, if you think your mind is in control, no, 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 no. You're in control. So if your mind is going crazy, say, hey, hey, I'm going to play the gratitude game. So mind, find me things I'm grateful for.
Mm.
Goes on if your mind is really stubborn.
Right, right.
I
So you can just
usually say
basically,
100.
yeah,
You
basically
don't
you
have
can
time
just
for anything
tell
else.
your mind to stop.
Yeah. And it doesn't help to say, please stop it. You say, do this, right?
Mm.
And so by saying go in gratitude, you're like literally giving a command to the mind of what it needs to do. And the mind said, okay,
Redirect.
okay.
Yeah. Redirecting.
It's
I love that.
yeah.
Maria, I
So
love this whole talk, and I feel like we could talk all day. There's so much, isn't there, that people can do that actually
it
doesn't
is a
cost.
very rich
Yeah. I mean, that you've got these great experiences that you've shared with us, and
everything
you've got,
is a choice.
yeah. We have a little delay. We're across the ocean.
One thing that I can say, I know I live in Thailand because I can, because it's my choice.
Right.
Because I love the tropics. Why not? And
Yes,
the one thing that
absolutely.
I do want to say is that it helps not only to know that. If you want to know information, just go on Google. These days it's not really hard, but it's important to practice. Your choices of
Mm,
how you're going to spend your time is really
mm,
what matters. And surround yourself with
mm.
people
Right.
who can help you. Surround yourself with people
Mm,
who can give you the opportunity to go further. And
right.
as part of the summit, I'm giving a free gift if you want. And do you want to put up the
Yes.
link for that? Yep.
Yes.
And
We,
that,
we will.
go
I
ahead.
was just going to ask you to explain your gift because I know people are going to want to know more. And so, yeah, I was just getting ready to ask. That's a great segue. And I want people to know that we will link the gift under the video. There'll be a link to it. So please explain.
So I have found over the years that proximity is power, proximity
Mm,
is the answer. So being
mm,
surrounded by people who do it is actually half the battle. That's why I
mm.
have a job, because that's it, all the information you need to do. But the truth is, 5 minutes later, you're probably going to go back to your old patterns. Well, if you're surrounded by a group of people who doesn't
Mhm.
have that, if you're surrounded by people like me who are on the other side, well, it gets easier. So
Yes.
this is why I'm offering my time, which is really come. I'll I have okay. I'm a little bit well, not a little bit. I'm very, very intuitive, and I can usually identify very, very quickly what is the
Mm,
biggest challenge people face, and say,
mhm.
hey, like this seems to be the one thing that is always getting you down, no matter what. It's like the wheel is turning, and it gets to that point and goes back in the beginning. So
Right.
like I don't know. For me, it used to be money. It's like, oh, money, 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 back in the beginning, right? Until
Right.
like you turn again, right? But the point is like you make all this effort to get here, and then bloop, you go back to the beginning. Well, what if you knew what the key was for you to unlock that crazy
Ah,
stuff of yourself? So I can identify this for people, and I can help them
that's
because I
awesome.
believe this has great value. Because I said, look at somebody after a few minutes of conversation, I already know because I read people. That's my
Right.
job. And
Right.
I can pretty quickly identify the patterns. And I can say, okay, well, what if we worked on that? So I will give them some useful steps. And I believe
Yes.
that's the greatest thing I can do for anybody.
That is so amazing and so generous. And I'm going to call you for a session.
Absolutely.
Anna,
You're very
this is
welcome.
so nice of you. I love your whole talk. It's been so uplifting and encouraging and empowering, and I'm definitely looking forward to speaking with you more. And I know a lot of people are going to appreciate that and take you up on that. And like I said, I wish we could talk all day. This has been phenomenal. I'm so touched with everything you said and what you've been through, and your decision to be where you are now. It's just beautiful. And thank you so much for being on and for sharing all of this with us. And yeah, we'll link your gift below. And thank you. I'm sure we'll stay in touch.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone, and each and every one of you for sticking around and listening to me
Oh
having
my
all this
gosh,
crazy talk. And I hope it
it's
gave you
amazing.
value. And
Absolutely, you
one
absolutely.
thing, the way I live my life is I say that anything I do, I want to give value to people. So ask yourselves, what can you do? A tiny little thing, maybe give a smile. What can you give around? Because when we start giving, we stop focusing about us, me,
Exactly.
and we start focusing on we. So start with that. Just go
That's
around smiling
beautiful.
to people.
That's beautiful. And that will change the day. It absolutely will. So
Yes,
this has been phenomenal. I just, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you and your time, and I wish we could talk all day.
absolutely. Thank you, Janine, and thank you, everyone, for being here.
Absolutely. So you have a wonderful day, and we will be in touch. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.